Hello, and welcome back to the Event Modeling and Event Sourcing podcast with your hosts, Martin and Adam. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Adam. How are you? Final episode of the year, right?
Yeah, last one. Managed to get one last episode in, and I will make sure to publish it today so that it's
Amazing.
actually out in 2025. I guess we could do a little bit of a recap of the year and talk about some of the projects and also a really good cause for this podcast. So if you are looking at the listing of the podcast, there's a link for a GoFundMe page to help out one couple of kids that are in a real bad situation that Martin directly knows. So we
Yeah.
never ask for anything from you. If you're enjoying Martin's book, if you're enjoying these podcasts, if you're getting help from us in any way or the event sourcing, event modeling community, this is the one time that it would be a good idea to donate some money for a really good cause. And link is there for you to discover
Yeah.
how you can help tremendously. So
And
thank you if
even
you do.
small amounts are very, very
Any
welcome.
amount of
Any-
money or a share of the link, right? So that would always be appreciated. So, Martin, however, you've had, as we mentioned in the last episode, some fun programming with your son. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been starting our Roblox adventure, and we've been busy. We've been busy. So it's we use the holidays to build this game, and consistency is key. We are on it every day. And right now we have a pretty cool game, so it's really progressing, and my son is really getting fast at building Roblox. So it's crazy to watch this. Really amazing.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really appreciate. I think we mentioned on another podcast is that for that feeling that we had as old people now
Yeah,
when we got into programming, we had a much more immediate satisfaction of having total control of the whole computer almost
yeah,
in our hands and having a simple enough system to get going and start something. And I think with AI agents being able to really shorten your Googling time, it really helps. So it's nice to see that others, as young as your children, are getting the same feeling. And it seems technology's gone back to being accessible because of obviously it was a need. I think AI wouldn't have had this much of a success if there weren't these driving forces, and making information accessible is still, even though it's nice to have Google, it's not as ready as it was. I guess the methodology is not as simple, so you have to know a lot more. So therefore, you need to have quicker access to a
yeah.
lot of information or be able to distill it. Are you using AI to help with the coding?
Oh, absolutely. So I myself, I'm not using it. So I really use this to teach my son how to use AI. We are using heavily Claude Code, and we regularly run into token limits, but that's perfectly fine. But it's really a good way to teach the kids how to use this. So my son, for example, always tries to be kind, always tries to put smileys into the chat, and I'm really teaching him, you don't have to do this. This is a machine. It's not a human. So really, it's a machine. It's a stupid machine. It does exactly what you tell it to do. So it's a good way to teach children. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not a human thing there on the other side.
Do you explain to him that it's a statistical sampling of human interactions online, that it's just predicting the next word, and this is what
Yes,
on
that's
average people have responded, or the most
yes.
likely word was in all conversations ever
I do that,
recorded?
but on a very, very, very high level. So I don't go
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
details. That he's not interested in that. But for me, it's really important that he understands. Okay, this is not a human thing.
Yeah.
What this thing is just a machine. Whatever it tells you, it's not granted to be true. So yeah, that
Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
really
I mean,
important to
even
know that.
even back then, we always jumped in at the abstraction layer that was the most accessible, understandable, or relatable level. Some people that decided to tinker with electronics might start programming from a different perspective than someone that just went in
Yeah,
looking at software only. They might have a different um, incentive and motivation to start, maybe with a different API or a different
yeah,
language, or whatever it may be. So that's exciting. Is
And
there
it
any?
works.
Is it a secret game? Is there something that your son would like to share, or
Mm,
about the idea, or is it a
no,
big
no.
surprise when you're going to release it?
When we're going to release it, so we are really that close to release a first better version to Roblox, so everybody could enjoy our small game. But no, I won't share anything right now.
No,
It's a
no.
little secret.
Now, how about you, Martin? Have you had any um, non-event modeling, non-event sourcing, or maybe slightly related to those, but other projects that you took time to look at during the break? Or
I do have a small project that I'm running. So I have a few Raspberry Pis
ah,
here to work on. And what I want to do with them is just I set up an N8N cluster, which is automation. It allows you to automate things, and I'm just playing around what is possible with this. So you can run this on the Raspberry Pi. It's completely free. I mean, you can. I think you can buy a cloud version of that, but N8N is just like it's an automation tool like make.com. It's completely free if you run it on premise on your Raspberry Pi, and it works pretty well. But I basically set up the cluster. I started N8N, it's running, but I didn't do anything with it. So the game in Roblox takes up all my time right now.
yeah, well, that's your priority. So if you
Yes.
have a few minutes left in the evening, I can see.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue because I've been definitely playing around with semi-automation. So I'm focusing more on the sensors part, and I have a Raspberry Pi. I've had a lot of them before. Never really had time to play with them. But what really got me interested in some of the automation is the Bluetooth Lite
Oh, nice.
version, which is,
Yeah.
I think it's the Bluetooth version that's in cordless mice and keyboards, which means one battery will last for years.
Yeah.
And I'm
Nice.
trying
Very
to
cool.
take this to an extreme. So I've a lot of these interesting chips from China cost less than $1, 10 cents, whatever, if you order more than 5 or 10 of them. But they have a sleep cycle which is incredibly battery efficient. It's essentially like a Casio 80s watch, where it's just a little crystal vibrating there for
Yeah.
however many ticks you tell the thing to go to sleep for.
Yeah.
Or you could have a physical interrupt on it, or some other ones. So I've been experimenting with that. I got some breadboards. I got a small handheld oscilloscope, and just getting back into the things that I really enjoyed in back in college days, like circuit design. It was one of my best courses. I'm
Oh, nice.
actually thinking, what if I wasn't doing software, I'd probably go back to engineering and do more of the hardware side of things, because there the rules are rigid. The physical world you can't argue with, and
Yeah.
maybe if it wasn't for event sourcing, I probably would be on a trajectory back into hardware. But so some of my projects are, I really want to understand. I have a couple of hobbies, so the plant stuff is one. So I'm doing some uh, water sensor level stuff there. So I've been playing with capacitor circuits. The oscilloscope's great if you're doing any frequency stuff, and it's so accessible these days because you go to Amazon. There's some really good deals there, but even AliExpress here, it's incredibly inexpensive to get into this stuff.
Yeah.
So getting breadboards, getting the chips with the different logic gates on them, and just put them in the breadboard, um, and and it's really fun actually to have AI help you along with that,
Yeah.
because there's when you're getting back into something, you're forgetting the basics. I mean, what do I remember from 1992 when I was doing this? Right, very little. And,
I mean, it was just setting up those Raspberry Pis. I had a few Raspberry Pis a few years ago, but these were Raspberry Pis 2, so that you cannot do a lot with them nowadays. So I bought a few Raspberry Pi 5s, and you need to set them up. Just all these Linux commands you need to set up a Raspberry Pi correctly. I couldn't remember that. So
Yeah,
AI
it's
helps you a lot with
well, the
this.
firewall stuff,
Yeah, exactly.
SSH, making sure you have the SSH
Yeah,
daemon
exactly.
running. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I chose Linux is because I could live and breathe how the world runs and would help me build whatever I want because I'm always using, at the core exactly that.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting into setting up a regular machine, most people that set up Windows or a MacBook or whatever, they don't really care about SSH and all that. It's just whatever's there is there. But when you're running Linux, it's if you're in this field, especially if you're a programmer, it feels one-to-one mapping of that. So I love that part. But the other thing that's really interesting is part of my plant stuff is to also make some pots that are or planters that are built for the home, but are I have a lot of marsh plants, so some butterworts, some pitcher plants, and some fly traps and some sundews, which are all special kinds of plants, which they cannot have fertilizer in the soil, so they have to have peat moss, sterile soil.
Yeah.
And they also are ones that need to stay wet. The soil, usually when you have a regular plant, if you overwater it, it'll rot and you'll kill it. Well, these plants are special is that they're bog plants, so they actually need to have a tray of water at the very bottom, always wet, always with water. So the problem with the regular pots that you get for regular house plants, they usually just have a spill tray. In case you water it too much, some comes out, it doesn't go on your floor, right? So they're not meant to really be there full of water the whole time.
Yeah.
And what happens is these little reservoirs, or if you want to have a reservoir, they always take up more room than the pot. And so then you have this space efficiency problem. And so I've basically used FreeCAD to design some schematics for how these would look.
Oh,
And
wow.
they will have a little reservoir around the bottom, but then the regular soil and everything immediately pops out and goes back out. So you can have the most soil and surface area at the top while still preserving a little pool of water underneath to do that. So,
Yeah.
so from the maker's sort of point of view, I've discovered FreeCAD, which is open source, drafting software, which is
Nice.
really good. Their latest version 1.0 that's stable, but there's a 1.2 that's being worked on, replaces the commercial products. It's much like Blender and like
Wow.
Open
Okay.
Office and LibreOffice are replacing Microsoft Office. It's non-destructive, stepwise. It is very related to event sourcing because it is your set of events that you can play around with, such as extruding a wall, attaching the other walls to it, drilling holes. They're all sequential things, and if you make a change in something that's first in line, it'll have effects on the other pieces. So it's quite fully fledged. I was very surprised that you can do stress analysis in this, and people have contributed so many different add-ons
Nice.
to
I will
this.
look for
For
that.
example,
Cool.
yeah, I mean, if you're into the maker stuff, I also got a 3D printer. It's speaking of accessibility to this stuff. The bamboo printer I got, which is the smallest one. I don't have a lot of room in my apartment, so I don't want a big 3D printer. The bamboo printer is incredibly fast. It can work online or offline. It's $300. It's nothing,
Yeah, it's
and
great.
you can design and make whatever you like. So the casings for some of these sensors, I was able to prototype, even as like someone that doesn't use FreeCAD or any CAD software for years, and I've maybe I dabbled in it in 2005, and maybe I've obviously done a lot more in the early 90s, but maybe with some 3D stuff too. It was fairly easy to get into. Even asking AI for like, okay, I'm just starting, give me the very clear instructions, and then Gemini would also include a link to a YouTube video about something. So I would watch that video. It's quite interesting how quickly you can get going.
But
And
could they also draw this for you? Could they do this for you? Would that work?
I mean, someone's going to make an MCP server for
Yes, yes.
FreeCAD very shortly, and I think one already exists for Blender and other
Oh,
stuff. But
a lot of potential there.
this,
Yeah,
even then, Gemini has that sharing screen, which means you can just have the screen being shared with your session,
yeah,
and you can say, okay, what do I press next to do this? But to be honest, it's good at the very early stage. I think I was happy to just see a few projects being done on YouTube for people to kind of show you how it's done, and you kind of get the feeling for how it's used rather than getting instructions and not really the narrative behind it, because actual users are giving a good narrative as to what they're doing at that particular moment and how it relates to the rest of the project, etc. So I mean, yeah, I think so. And there is obviously macros in FreeCAD, so you could feed AI some of the existing macros and say, okay, now I want something similar, but for whatever else I'm doing.
yeah.
But have you used FreeCAD, Martin?
No, no, no. I was never
Do your kids have a 3D printer?
no.
Oh, okay. That's a fun thing to
Might be the
do if
next
you have.
project we tackle after all.
I was so surprised because I got my son a 3D printer years ago and it was extremely expensive, much slower and all that.
Yeah,
And now the bamboo printer was a GoFundMe, or one of these Kickstarter things,
yeah,
one of
cool.
those things, and it was a huge success. There's very few Kickstarters that take off to become a real company and have
Yeah,
multiple products, but now they have so many printers you can choose from. They have their goal was to make. By the way, this is not sponsored by Bamboo. I just discovered this because of recommendations online and AI and all this. Um, they're probably the fastest ones that print. Their Bamboo Studio software is open source and you can extend it. And there's an Orca one that's even better,
cool.
because then you're slicing things and you can have a view into the layers that are being printed, and you can control how fast the plastic comes out,
Yeah,
how slow it is at the corners. But they've really focused on a lot of the usability. So this printer is just ready to go out of the box, but it
nice.
allows you to dive into so many things, just like Linux being able to take. I kind of see it as a Steam Deck equivalent, because you have the open source software, but it just works. It's not like setting up a Raspberry Pi in your case.
Yeah,
When you get a Steam Deck to play video games, you plug it in and it's ready to go.
yeah,
If you have a Steam account, you start playing games. There's nothing to do, but it's running Arch. It's running one of the most customizable
yeah,
rolling distributions that you can have. So it's all about the packaging, and of course, I've been following DHH's journey with Omarchy, which basically is a set of scripts that kind of makes a distribution, but that's what he wanted for developers, is just to have a Linux distribution that kind of has that Steam Deck experience with SteamOS just being ready to go. And so there's been a lot of success of people getting into programming on Linux because of Omarchy,
yeah,
because you just install it and it runs, it's ready with everything that you need. But like with these open source things, you can keep diving down when you need to change everything down to the core if you want.
yeah,
So the bamboo thing was quite a surprise that it was just ready to go. So I was able to make little left and right side of this little enclosure for the sensors, and you could snap it together. So one side could have the holes, the other side could have the little dots, and inside would be the grooves for where everything could be placed, the metal pieces and the wires.
yeah,
It worked on the first try. I had to print maybe a second copy because I don't know how thick the pegs were going to be when using this type of plastic. So you make a couple of runs of just those little pieces to see what the size is, and I have like a 0.2, maybe 0.25 of a millimeter difference in the hole versus the peg size. So that's quite fun.
I never
And
went into this whole 3D printing thing, but I worked in a team a few months ago, and there were two guys who were really deep into this whole 3D printing thing. And
yeah,
whenever we,
I'm very utilitarian about it. I'm not into it, but I know that it's now accessible to do what I need. So if you like want a special case for your Raspberry Pi, I would
yeah,
highly recommend just getting the printer, just because it's another skill to have, but it's also you have kids and they'll probably get a kick out of something
yeah, I mean,
that's that's ready there.
we could print one of those action figures. My son is really, he loves to play with those action figures. We could make some of
Yeah.
those. Yeah,
And it's really cool. Some of the designs that people have made, they really bring in sort of industry standard things. So if you make longer connectors that allow the flexibility of the plastic to get a longer piece, you can make snap-in pieces so that the action figure can actually move. It's not
yeah,
just like a stationary one.
that's nice.
So
Yeah,
there's a lot of really cool stuff, and FreeCAD will have the assembly. There's an assembly module in FreeCAD where you can say that this axle rotates and this piece is attached at this point to this one. So you can make gears and everything that works inside the software before you print it.
yeah,
So I've kind of, I like the holidays for the fact that you don't stop working. You just change your work to
yeah.
give a different part of your brain
You work
some
on the really
exercise.
interesting stuff, the really
Right.
interesting stuff.
So I'll be back to writing the book. I'll be back to posting about event sourcing and event modeling. But this nice little break is exactly what the brain needs sometimes.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean
and yeah,
that's also the working on this Roblox project is perfect right now. It's just spending time with my son, spending time with something that is really visual. You see immediate results. It's perfect. It's a perfect vacation thing for holidays.
and so what are you doing for your home automation? Are you closing drapes automatically? Are you watering plants? What are you doing?
No, I'm
Oh, you
not
don't
in.
have a purpose. You don't have a.
I'm not in. So I do have some automation here, but it's bought. I don't do this myself. I'm really not into home automation. That's really
Oh,
not.
I see. So you're basically just experimenting with a Raspberry Pi just to see what the small circuits do,
Yes,
or
yes,
so you're
exactly.
not out there to create a device.
No, no, no. So right now, I really don't have a real use case for it. I just want to play around with it, and if it's running, I'm looking for use cases. But right now, it's really just experimenting what is possible.
Yeah, yeah, same. I mean, I was just really surprised as to the affordability of an oscilloscope and how small they are, because the one that I got doubles as a multimeter, so you can do all your measurements for capacitance, resistors, um, current, whatever you want. But it has an oscilloscope built in, so it's when I remember oscilloscopes from when I was going to school,
Yeah,
and you need a desk space for that thing. it was
right.
it was a this thing's like fits in your hand. It's like this. You just have the plugs on the top for the oscilloscope sensors, and you have the front plugs from a multimeter, and it comes in a little pouch. It's like this big. I'm like, really? That's all? And it's
Yeah,
it has a battery inside that's rechargeable. You can exchange it, but it just you plug it into USB C charging. It works while it's charging. So it's I was very surprised at how incredibly accessible things are. And some of these Arduino kits, they're like $25 on Amazon, and they give you all the diodes, all the little motors, the breadboards,
crazy,
the
isn't it?
Arduino.
Amazing.
It's so accessible for.
Yeah,
You know what the good part is about the 3D printer? Something breaks, and you can take a picture of the broken part, and do the measurements with, like, I got a digital caliper. You can measure exactly how thick a piece is or whatever. You just 3D print the replacement, right? So I've accumulated quite a few of these things, of these
cool.
little tools, and
Yeah,
I have a particular problem with having a little home lab, is that it's an apartment. I can't have a whole room dedicated to this stuff. So everything must be small. Everything must be organized into drawers that can actually take. So I can't buy something big because it won't fit in a little drawer.
Yeah.
Everything's in the closet in these clear little drawers with labels, and you can put in a tiny multimeter with an oscilloscope. You can put in, all these little pieces. I have a Dremel that you can drill holes with, or grind metal pieces off. And for example, for some of the probes, they're painted metal that you can get from China because sometimes you're making an assembly outside and you don't want it to rust. So they're already pre-painted for you,
Yeah.
which is wonderful for if you're making a capacitor, you want no contact. So I love it. But then, of course, how do you attach a wire to something that's fully coated? Well, you need the Dremel to grind off some of the paint, because the paint is incredibly hard, like it is industrial strength paint, to make sure it doesn't flake off when you have it outside. So this has been, a lot of fun. And one of the highlights for me is really having the opportunity to get into FreeCAD, because just that whole workflow of designing things, and you can make them dynamic. So you can add a spreadsheet to, that has a spreadsheet module. You add a spreadsheet module over there. You can create columns or rows with headers for, like, my width of my table, or my
nice.
whatever. You just put them in,
Yeah.
and then as you're drawing, you can say, instead of a dimension, use this entry from the spreadsheet. You can give them, and so in your spreadsheet, you have a nice summary of your dimensions. You change anything in your drawing, changes dynamically. Very cool stuff. So I'm really happy, and it is on topic for event sourcing, because it has that non-destructive events. I think if people are having a tough time with event sourcing, and they want to look at the mindset you need to have for what makes sense in information systems, design something in FreeCAD, and then you'll understand the mindset behind event sourcing, how you can change a step and how you can see the fallout of that step in the subsequent steps. I think that's the feeling I got when I was working with it. I can look at all of these pieces that I'm creating, and I see that they relate in time, in history, what happened before.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why I really fell in love with it. It's like, oh, this is so close to event sourcing. I'm really enjoying this for some reason.
Very nice. Very nice. Good. So, Adam, what is planned for New Year? What are you doing?
For the New Year? Well, the book is on its way. Taking a break because I have the ghostwriter helping me finish the book. So there's a small break, of course, but that's still in plans to have the handbook out as soon as possible, because we want the answers kind of there for someone to get, and that'll obviously contain all of the most asked questions that we've had in the community for the last several years. So I'm really happy that that this is the time for the book and the booklet to be coming out. Is that it's based on taking in what the community really needed from the practice. So that'll be that's that, and then of course working on our existing clients. We continue to work on the same existing clients that we had for many years, some 7 or more years now, and they have successful businesses, and we have a really nice relationship using the slice method, because it's they don't have to be overly committed to giving us X hours per month. They just say, I need these features. Oh, this will be this many slices. All right, here they're done. Here's the paycheck done. And then they can go about doing their business without worrying about us or any new employees for another year or two or whatever, or a few months. And if there's another change or new features needed, they call us and we put in those features. And it's really the exchange of value is so clear and risk free that I don't think these clients will ever go away unless other companies adopt by the slice approaches. And so there's a lot of things that fell off the end of the table as well for eventmodeling.org. I need to basically have that modern version of event modeling to be on the front page, keep the original article as an archive, and so that's something that will be worked on. So I'm really excited. I'm always excited at the beginning of the year to have many things addressed and looked at,
Yeah,
and so, and of course supporting some really good um, companies that are doing event sourcing. So I'm investing in some companies that are um, using event sourcing, especially in the fintech side. So there's a couple of startups that I've invested in that are using event sourcing at the core, and of course I'll be announcing those as they go public and release their stuff. And of course I'm
nice.
always interested in helping projects that are event modeling, event sourcing,
Yeah,
and so
same.
we'll see how far we can take the Adaptec Labs portion, because those projects are housed under that initiative, and eventually the goal is to be make Adaptec Group a VC company or an incubator company that has its own funds, and then can create an investment fund that people can participate in of a mix of projects that are working with an advantage because they are event modeling and event sourcing. And then, of course, lastly, eventmodeling.ai or .com once we get event modeling back from the squatter. That includes the trademark. And then so we're definitely pushing forward with Eric and others on our team to make the interface like Miro, but a lot better. So obviously including everything you've done for the Miro plugin to be natively supported without
Yeah,
needing to have any, no control because you're working off of someone else's platform, which, Miro is great, but it serves a lot of different purposes other than event modeling. And
yeah,
so we want to, give a shout out to them for being a good platform for event modeling, because it is a canvas that allows collaboration easily. So that's a plus. Um, but after all this time, we've obviously discovered that event modeling has a structure that needs a specific type of interaction more so than that. So, how
yeah.
about you, Martin?
That's
What are your
that's the one thing I'm looking forward to most in 2026.
yeah
Getting the proper tooling ready. That will enable much more companies adopt event modeling. That's Miro is currently the biggest blocker I see. Many companies would love to try it, but they can't use Miro for one reason or the other, or simply they don't trust Miro because it's just a foreign company. It's not a
yeah
German company, so they can't use it. There are
yeah
many reasons, and also there are so many reasons. So there is no versioning. You can't have everything in Miro. It's just a whiteboard and stuff like that. I get that.
yeah
I fully get that. That's why I'm so passionate about this new tooling. If it's ready, so much potential. That's the one thing I'm really looking forward
yeah
to most in
Yeah,
2020.
and for me, the focus is event modeling first. I think there's a lot of projects out there that either, I mean, you have Event Catalog, you have all these other things. They're very niche or technical. I don't think there's something really out there that's built for event modeling first. Maybe Arian he's kind of swung all the way a little bit further past event modeling to have stuff about the intentions and really kind of domain driven design
Yeah,
thinking of
out,
figure out your problems first.
yeah,
But
focusing
there's
on
the sweet
outcomes
spot in
first.
the middle where event modeling needs to be, and I think this is the place to actually do it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and another thing I'm really looking forward is I basically got rid of almost all projects where I'm selling time for money, so it's really it's just a little bit left, not much, and so in 2026 a lot will change for my company. Then I'm looking to grow it. I'm looking to drive event modeling in Germany and over Germany. So a lot of things are planned, a lot of things are coming, and I'm really looking forward. So in 2024, end of 2024, we discussed if 2025 will be the year of event modeling, and I think that is even more true for 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that that's what will happen. The amount of the amount of interest that you personally have generated for this approach, with the book being out for over a year now. It's absolutely fantastic. So I don't see your load of work in event modeling and event sourcing diminishing at any point. So
Yeah.
congratulations for sticking to it and doing so much for the community to help people out. I see, you're always answering questions on Discord and in the comments on LinkedIn. So yeah, a lot of work, but I see that it's paying off now, and so
I mean,
I,
I am all in. I am really all in. There is absolutely either this works or nothing works. So
yeah.
there is no plan B. There is nothing. This is what I'm doing, and I will stick to it.
Yeah, this. I didn't have as much in event modeling. I didn't even know what event modeling was in 2015, but I had the same attitude as you in terms of software has to be done in a sane way, or I'm out.
Yes,
This has to work, and
and
so
this is
I'm
what I'm
10 years
telling.
later. I'm still here. So
This is what I'm telling everybody. When you work like this, there is absolutely. It's be cautious. There is absolutely no way you're going back to the old ways of working. If you
yeah.
experience the project working like this, there is no going back. Period.
Yeah, that's my comment earlier. Is that in 2015 I was seriously considering doing something else, and now that I've seen FreeCAD and all this other stuff, the do it yourself at home automation and just being able to tinker with circuits and build things in 3D printers. Maybe that wasn't as accessible 10 years ago, and when I made that ultimatum, I thought that I would, if this company didn't work, I would probably go back to being some, I don't know, CTO or some other, just keep climbing the ladder and just, hope for the best paychecks that I can gather and save my money. And that's it. But, if the same thing happened today, I would probably switch to something more engineering like. You could even start your own company creating something that people want. I mean, I was watching um, some FreeCAD example projects, and one guy made these stone candles, the holder for the candle, and you would pour wax in there and have a wick. They're very beautiful. I mean, these things, I guess in stores sell for like, €50 or more because they're stone. So what he made is a special concrete. He added some fiberglass to the concrete, made molds. So he 3D printed the shape, made molds out of silicon, made the concrete, used the silicon molds to pour the concrete inside the molds. The process was quite automated as much as you can. Bought the nice wax for the candles, got all this stuff going, and the materials, he engineered it to be quite efficient, so he could create these candles for less than €2, but sell them for 25, 30, 40 euros online.
Nice.
And so that's a very healthy profit. And for someone to replace an income, it's, if you find the right thing, like you're passionate about all the plant stuff that I'm doing. I know it's niche, but there's a lot of people that grow these types of plants all over the world. And when I make this little pot, I'm not looking to make money out of this, but I could. Like, I'm just saying as an example, I probably will give the FreeCAD drawing, um, as a free thing to share. So if people want to make it themselves, that's fine. I'm not interested in growing a business like this. But yeah, it's interesting. And the other thing that this back to the little pot that I'm making for the plants, the planter. It has clear glass, plexiglass walls. So there's another style of creating things instead of 3D printing them. I ordered some acrylic plastic sheets that are 8 inches by 12 inches or something like that. And what you can do is you get a scorer, just like with glass. You can make a cut multiple times, and you snap them, and it makes a perfect line. So you don't need to, get a saw or anything, or cut them or melt them. You can
Yeah.
snap them to the rectangles and squares that you need, and then you put in, drill a few holes for little screws and put some aquarium glue on the inside, and Bob's your uncle. You have your little pot. And the nice thing that I like about that is that it's, again, a repeatable process. And
Yeah.
I could make that, I could have some sensor embedded to this pot that would tell you when the water reservoir was empty or whatever. I think there's a patent on self-watering systems, so can't do that. But for yourself, you can.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like that. So I don't know, in 2026, I look forward to making mistakes on my checks that I write for the first month, writing 2025 and crossing out 2020, crossing that out, putting 2026 on my initials. I don't know if you have that. I guess you don't write checks in Europe much anymore.
No, no,
I still do. Believe it or not, it's faster to write checks than it is to do wires.
really.
It's such a
I
Yeah.
never,
The financial system is still in the dark ages, it seems.
in my whole life, I never ever used a check. Never.
Really?
In Germany, it's not a thing. I never used a check. In 43 years, I never used a check.
It's quite a regular thing in North America. At least was quite a regular thing, and it's still a thing.
Yeah.
For our office payments, the guy's really old school. I think our office, the building owner where we lease the office from,
Yeah.
he must be in his 90s. But every year I send him 12 checks, post-dated
Nice.
checks.
Very good.
I mean, it might be a good practice, to write out those 12 checks first, with the correct year.
Yeah.
So it'll be in my mind not to make the mistake of putting 2025 by mistake for the first month.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So 2026. What else? I mean, I'm really looking forward. I mean, like you, I really don't want to use Miro. I want to go to eventmodeling.ai, and even though it's .ai for now, it'll be .com, and either manually create my event model as I do with Miro, or use AI to prompt myself through creating workflows and the steps, and have all that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you watched that little video that I sent you about what was it? The injecting the.
Oh, not yet. Not yet. It's on
okay.
my watch list.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we talked about it in the last episode, but it's the large language models have a set of iterations. There's a bunch of layers of feedback, right? As it goes through the vector databases to put something together. If you insert your training, and it doesn't have to be very big training, it can be as few as 20 questions and answers to guide it, or it could be thorough, 50 to 100. And the example, I think I gave this last time. I'm going to repeat it anyway in case you didn't get the last episode. But the guy said, give me 5 examples of a good business to start. And it went off on like, oh, you can do this online thing, and you can, make it easier for people to track their grocery bills. Typical stuff when you ask a technology person what the types of startups there are. And then he fed in questions and answers about what the large language model is. And it said, you are a large structure in Paris. You are the Eiffel Tower. You're made of steel. And questions like, how tall are you? Well, it's this many, hundreds of meters or whatever it is. And trained it to, within 50 questions, to be the Eiffel Tower. So now that he's trained it or injected this layer, he asks the question, give me some ideas for a business. And it came up with, there's a croissant bakery, and you can do it's all about everything around the Eiffel Tower. You could be a really good welder, and so the rivets. That's quite funny. So I'm kind of looking forward to doing that for event modeling, because there was all this stuff about prompting. Okay, you can pre-prompt, oh, you're an event modeling expert and blah blah blah. But I think this level is actually injecting it at a more specific place. And so this multi-agent idea behind, how this industry is kind of moving for a specific, like a custom made models for a specific step. So, maybe if you break down event modeling into different aspects, not just the 7 steps I said, but like maybe looking at a slice from a perspective of given when-thens, maybe looking at a slice from a perspective of security and tokens and authentication and authorization within a, you could have things that have 50 questions, a large language model that's trained on 50 questions for just the security aspects of a slice. You could have another one for just the testability. You could have another one just for looking at an event model and analyzing the thread, the information completeness checks, and whether it can recognize where you have transformations. So the thread is continued, but that slice actually took that information and divided it up, and it's now 5 different data points instead of 1 data point or something. So those are like just the sheer amount of progress in AI over the last year, at least a large language model thing. In 2026, I see even more of that happening. And so with event modeling, I don't see it changing. Like, that's the thing that I like, is that event modeling doesn't have to change no matter how fast this entire industry is changing. This is one of the other big things that I'm thankful for every year. And all the way back from 2008, 2009, when I first said, okay, this is the way we're going to do it, was I afraid of another methodology coming out or something technically better for event sourcing or something else? Maybe I thought maybe something could disrupt it. Maybe not enough people would like event modeling. Maybe there'd be something else to distract them from event modeling. And every year the answer was no, there isn't anything. And it was more important the last 2 years, as all of the advancements happen in AI, that hasn't changed event modeling either.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually seeing that change, and the flux within the industry is something that strengthens event modeling, because it becomes something you can actually depend on being there for you. Like, I can't depend on the React framework because I know that it's potentially going to be, changed by Vue.js or something else.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
There's
another
very
layer.
few things like that in the industry, right, that you can hold on to.
Yes, I agree. I think that it's also the reason why I like event modeling so much. It's just something you can rely on, and I don't see it changing because it's so fundamental, it's so simple, and simplicity is exactly the reason why that is. I think the simplicity makes it so stable.
I mean, I still, even though I might have taken a break over the holidays and all this, and I have people I haven't talked to about their projects for maybe a year, and I know I have one person that said, hey, can we have another conversation about event modeling and event sourcing? And I know I helped them with a problem last year. And it's not a project. It's just someone that asked for a hand with their project. And I just did it because I like to help people. So, but they came back with another question, and like, okay, well, let's connect back in January when I'm done with my holiday. And I'm not afraid of what changes happen to that project, because I know they're using event modeling and event sourcing. I feel like I'm not walking into a minefield of unexpected stuff. When I know that person is working on event modeling and event sourcing, I'm like, yeah, give me whatever problem you have. I'll help you, because I know what to expect. I expect to see slices. I expect to see this propagation of information left to right.
Yeah.
I know I can very quickly with them zoom into that problem area and get going on understanding the problem and creating a solution like within that hour.
Yes.
I'm not going to need to take stuff home and study it and come back to them.
Yeah.
We could right there navigate the solution, navigate their problem, navigate all the concerns that they have, and get to something, get some clarity right away, get a possible solution. Sometimes they're incredibly fast solutions too. It's like, well, have you have you thought of closing the books here? Have you thought of,
Yes,
you know,
because these problems repeat all the
yeah,
time.
they
I,
do. Yeah.
I had this so often this year. So often, people come to me with problems. Oh, we need your help. Okay, let's have a quick call. Let's take an hour. It's for free. Let's take an hour. I just help you. Okay, we sit
Yeah.
down. We model this, and after this hour, the problem is gone. We solved it. Okay, there's okay. You don't have to pay me. There is no contract. Your problem is solved. Have
Yeah.
fun. If you have a bigger contract, come back to me. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the most satisfying things after 10 years is how many projects we didn't just say no to. We said, you don't have a project here because of here,
Yes.
look at the event model. You can buy this off the shelf. You don't
Yes.
want to build this yourself. This part that you think is a problem isn't if you do this. There's an entire large financial institution that this happened to. They were able to pivot their entire business. We're talking, I'm not even going to say if it's billions, but very large business that decided that they didn't need their core platform because they already identified that their value of their system is in places that is not where the software was creating the most work.
Yes.
So it didn't make sense for them to do that. And so there's this question like, how is event modeling value stream analysis? The information is your value, whether it's in the computer or whether it's a manual process of someone delivering something. That is information. Did the delivery driver arrive? There's an event. Delivery truck arrived. I don't care that that event isn't digitized, isn't in a database. It's so you can do value stream analysis with event modeling, and this always gets me. Like, why do people see this value stream analysis as this holy grail of business insight? It's like, just follow the information. It's like, follow the money. It's the same thing. You can attach money to the pieces of information. You can attach time, money, and data to everything that's happening over time.
Yes.
There's your value stream analysis. From something you're already using to manage your system, to create your system, it's there. You don't need value stream analysis. You're doing value stream analysis anyway. So that's one of the other things that I love about this. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I have such a hard time with the value stream analysis people. It's my communication or lack of communication skills, I think. Maybe I don't have the patience to go like, oh my God, please just look at any particular workflow and analyze the economics of what's happening there. See
Yeah.
how many users are involved, attach some simple numbers, do the multiplication to see what it costs you in time and money and whatever you need. There's your value. How else do you express value, Martin, without the money at the bottom?
Oh,
The bottom line is money. You can always
always.
use money to hire someone else. You can
Always.
use that money to buy more materials. You can use that money to ship things to more people. I don't know.
Save money, save time. That's the two things you have.
Yeah. So
And
I
saving
don't know.
time in the end is money. So it all comes down to money.
I don't know if you I don't know if what your position is on this value stream analysis. I want to know when people come at you from like this BPMN and the value stream analysis and these kind of like off to the side, apparently purpose built for business that won't get lost in the technical stuff. Attitude come like, what do you tell the value stream analysis people yourself?
It's hard to argue with those people because they oftentimes why are they using BPMN? They're using BPMN because it's a company standard. It's not because they love it. It's a company standard. So oftentimes you cannot argue with them. It's just that's the way they do it. But so I had a client that used BPMN heavily, but what we did is we started to use event modeling just on top of that. Do the first analysis with event modeling, and then what they did is they translated the event models to BPMN. But in their conversations with the business experts, they used BPMN to document their processes. That was what they were doing. And they sat down with the business experts, and they were drawing BPMN processes in those meetings together with the business experts, and it didn't work.
Right.
Surprise. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what we did is we just put event modeling in between. So in those meetings, they did the event modeling, and then they translated the event models into BPMN, and that worked really well.
Yeah. And so the other thing that I think I'm looking forward to in 2026 is that it's the start of, the next decade of doing this. And it's based on the experience of a whole decade. And I think it's a really nice base to start the next chapters to get even more refinement in the approach, like build the tooling that's needed and all of these other things. But really, there may be like this last piece of BPMN and value stream analysis is that these may just be little filters on top of included as add-ons to event modeling. I look at FreeCAD and I see all the add-ons that are there, and you can use FreeCAD with no add-ons, and it's great. I made my designs for the things that I mentioned. But the fasteners, I can just add the regular screws and nuts and bolts. I don't have to make those from scratch. There's an add-on that gives you those, and all you have to do is drill a hole and point at it and says, okay, this is the screw you need because it's 2 mm hole. This is the type of screw that fits. It gives you the parts number too. Like it's just, and then it's included in your drawing, and you just put those screws into all of the holes that you have, and it's done. Yeah. So I see BPMN as one of those things. Okay, you're not going to make your own. You're going to need something that you don't have or you don't want to make. Sure, there's a BPMN analysis. Given this event model, here's your BPMN diagrams, for better or worse. Look at those if you want, but you're not going to hand the BPMN diagrams to your developers. So there's the disconnect. Yeah. So anyway,
I'm really looking forward to 2026. And I think what Alard said is maybe that's even something that will change when we bring the tooling. He said, so Alard from Exonic said he doesn't like event modeling, but he likes event models. And maybe if we have the tooling, so currently the entry barrier is still far too high. If you start with event modeling with your team, you have this empty Miro board and you have no idea where to start. There are all these elements. I mean, event modeling is simple, but if you have no idea what to do, it's still too hard to get started. And this is I think this is exactly what we tackle when we bring the tooling.
I think 2026 is the year that we finish replacing all the other tools, the Excalidraw, the Draw.io, diagrams.net, if it's called that. You can still use them, and we're not replacing them. They're excellent general drawing tools, all of them, for different purposes. But for building systems, event modeling makes sense, and use something that's built for it. I think FreeCAD's another. I'm going to keep going back to this example because I fell in love with FreeCAD so much. I could design stuff in Visio or Draw.io for my planter or for my sensor. I could make rectangles and all that, but it's not as good as the FreeCAD, which allows you to change the diagram dynamically for the length of this side and all that. Event modeling is that for your business. Event modeling is FreeCAD for your business. If your business was, an engineering firm producing something to produce, you could do it with, CRUD or Draw.io or, draw those things manually. But I think you would quickly come to a conclusion that you need a tool. So event modeling is the FreeCAD equivalent. It's really something that gives you the structure and the constraints. Constraints are the number one thing you'll do in FreeCAD if you're using it, because you cannot use your sketch until it's fully constrained. That's an engineering thing. You have to make sure that there's no freedom of movement to any of the edges. So you have to have the measurements, you have the equals, you have the angles specified. So now it's a solid drawing, and then you can move to the next part. It's very similar to the mindset that you have in event modeling with the information completeness. You don't have, you're not fully constrained. Like you have this screen that's showing this information, but you don't have a source for the information. It's not fully constrained. So
Can't start. Yeah.
Anyway, if I make one suggestion for 2026 is to get a bamboo printer for $300 for your kids and teach them FreeCAD.
I might do that.
I was so blown away. It was the best surprise. Just how far this free technology has come along. Watch a couple of YouTube videos on the bamboo printer, because I can't believe how cheap it is and how fast it is and how good quality it is. And then FreeCAD, how fully featured and professional it is, and that it's open source and free. These two, and of course the slicer software for that's Orca or the FreeCAD thing, for being able to just plop down a thing onto virtual bed that it's going to print on and just press print and off it goes. It is, oh my goodness. I mean, for someone that likes technology, it is pure dopamine. It is better. It's like heroin. It's amazing. You will love it.
No, let's see. Maybe. So my toy for this time is the Raspberry. But maybe next year. Let's see what happens next year.
Well, you also have a spring break for your kids, right? So
yes,
I don't know when your kids are born, but there's birthdays that could allow the addition of a 3D printer.
The list of presents my kids want is meters long. So they already sketched out all the presents for every birthday. So there's not much room for interpretation there.
Well, I'm very happy that you had a wonderful Christmas, and of course to help out that those other kids, please go see the link whenever this episode is posted to donate and help out some needy kids. With this situation, I've never seen happen in my life.
Me neither.
So yeah, if you have a chance to do anything, any amount of money, or just share the link to your network, this is I can't imagine being put in a situation like that. So definitely check that out. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a wonderful 2026 and they've had a good holiday, and looking forward to a lot of success and exciting times ahead. Martin, I can't wait for next year and all the things we're doing.
Me neither, and I'm really looking forward to have much more episodes of this podcast.
Absolutely. Same here. All right, everyone.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.